As has already been observed this evening, this year marks the 80th anniversary of VE Day. And later, in the month of August, we will remember the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, when the Second World War drew to a conclusion. And when we were bringing our programme of events before the officers to consider what we should do, we decided that there would have to be some acknowledgement of the fact that this is a year when we particularly remember the sacrifice of our forefathers for freedom in the world wars. And because of that, many of you will know that we hosted the Lisbolaw Great War Society, who put on a display of items from the First and the Second World War at Dramara Orange Hall. If you attended that exhibition, you may have noticed that there was a little Bible amongst the objects that were exhibited there. That Bible is smaller than the palm of my hand. And yet, it was a very remarkable item, because within its pages there was the mark of a bullet. That bullet had passed through the entirety of the Old Testament. It had passed through the Gospel of Matthew, and it had stopped in the Gospel of Luke. And as I thought of that little Bible, I thought of some lessons that we could derive from it about the stance of our forefathers. It taught me, first of all, about a man who is prepared to put his life on the line for our freedom. And that is something that we should be ever thankful for. He put himself in the firing line to defend our nation and our liberties. The second thing that Bible taught me was that God is merciful, because that bullet could very easily have passed the whole way through that Bible and killed that man. But it didn't. And how many times, even in our own lives, has God been spared and merciful to us, maybe on the roads and in other dangerous circumstances? And thirdly, it spoke of the faith of the one who carried it. Because when you think of a soldier in the First World War, that soldier would have had to carry very few items onto the front line. When he was going over the top, he would have had to very carefully chosen the items that he was going to bring with him and the items that he was going to bring behind. And I wonder this evening, my friend, how many of us would have picked the Bible if it put in such circumstances? And that brought me also, the thought of that Bible, to the words which were read to us a moment ago, and particularly the words of verse 24 of 1 Peter chapter 1. For all flesh is as grass, and the glory of man as the flower of grass. The grass withereth, the flower thereof fadeth, but the word of our God endures forever. That little Bible has endured 100 years, bearing testimony to the bravery, to the faith, and to the mercy of God to that soldier. That Bible, and every Bible that you've received, has endured in spite of the attempts of the Roman Catholic Church for centuries to obscure it behind the language of Latin and to hide it from the common people. That Bible has endured in spite of the attempts of those who tried to burn the Reformers and those who dared to translate it into a language which you and I could read. And not only that, but while today the Bible is no longer banned, while possessing one will not earn you a death sentence, there are many who seek to erase its influence from our nation. And in that we think particularly of what has happened in our national parliament in the last few weeks, where in both the beginning of life in relation to abortion and at the end of life in relation to so-called assisted dying, we have seen the influence of the Bible scrubbed out from the statute book. But in dedicating this arch this evening, we are reminded that the Bible is central to the Protestant faith. It proclaims proudly 2 verses of Scripture in the centre of our village. There are no less than 4 symbols upon our arch which are drawn directly from the Scriptures. And when it comes to the 12th of July, the first resolution which will be read from every Orange platform will read that we boldly declare that the foundation of the Orange institution is the Bible, which serves as our only infallible rule of faith and practice. But let me ask you this, my friend, this evening. When we may stand and listen to those words, is it true of you? You see, when I thought about that man who carried that Bible in the First World War, I wondered about where he stood with God. I wondered, was the Bible more to him than something that he brought over the top? I wonder, did he know the truth of the words that the Reverend Neil read to us a moment ago? Because the first 3 words that the Reverend Victor Neil read this evening brings us to the very heart of the Scriptures. And what are they? Being born again. I ask you this evening, are you born again? Are you a child of God? Are old things passed away? Are all things become new? Have you abandoned faith and dependence upon yourself, upon your church, upon your good works? And have you cast all upon Jesus Christ? We've thought this evening about how the Bible endures, how it lasts forever. We've thought about how a soldier's life was saved by a Bible. But let me close with asking you this. Is your soul saved by the message that it declares? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Morrison. Can I ask the worshipful masters and deputy masters of the lodges to come up and get a tracking bucket on this side of the platform here, please?
That's a bit nerve-wracking.